Good morning, guys. It is March 18th, 11:57 a.m. A little bit earlier in the day, but that's because I got a bunch of stuff to do later on today and work later on today too. So happy St. Patty's Day. Wearing a little green. St. Patty's Day was yesterday. I didn't get a chance to put up a vlog. It was just pretty busy, pretty hectic schedule yesterday. But in line with that hectic schedule, I wanted to talk about timing and the importance of timing. So, if you're not careful sometimes to plan out your day, you may not be able to get everything done in that day that you wanted to do. There's some days that I honestly think like there's not enough hours in the day to do what I need to get done. And I like feeling that way sometimes. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming and it just means that you're spread too thin. But I like to challenge myself in that respect and make sure that my schedule is pretty much in max capacity. The only fluctuation is the amount of sleep I get. So if I get less sleep, I'm able to get more done, and if I get more sleep, I'm able to get less done. But timing to me, there's several different aspects to it. Like I remember working last night, and I was bartending, and some people had to end up waiting on drinks a little bit longer than normal because it was St. Patty's. It was really busy, and it was a crazy day. But and there was only one unhappy customer. I think those odds are pretty good. It did get to me a little bit when the customer was unhappy, but regardless, I think those odds are still pretty good. One unhappy customer that was waiting on a drink, he said, for 30 minutes, which I don't necessarily believe, but if that's the case, then yeah, that is a little bit of time to wait for a drink. But it was really busy last night. The other portion of timing that I want to describe and talk about is that I believe that you're always in the right place at the right time. A lot of things in my life have always worked out tremendously well, and it's just due to the timing that took place. Sometimes I may be running late for something, but even if you show up late, I mean, this goes against military upbringing and a lot of other things, but I noticed that if I show up late to something, sometimes it's still on time in a sense. And I wasn't supposed to show up a minute earlier. I'm exactly where I need to be every single day, and my schedule goes according to that plan. And I kind of get to things when I can get to things. It's not like uh, I'm sitting around waiting to do things. That is not the case at all. If anything, I'm trying to get things done in order to catch up. And I just believe that when you're doing something and you're running late, and sometimes things are out of your control, like I've been late to class, but um, for one reason or another, that's where I needed to be at that point in time. So I don't want you to take that out of context, like being late is okay, but where you are at that particular time, if it's not at that current commitment and it was because you're busy, then that's where you need it to be. That's where your time is allocated. You should line up your day in an order of importance and get the most important things done first. That way you can move through your day a little bit more fluidly and you get the initial commitments out of the way early in the day, so the rest of the day you kind of get to the things as you can get to them. But you do take care of the important things first. That way you kind of set yourself up for success for that day. And sometimes the important things end up being the tough things. And like I've talked about before, it's better to tackle those tough things early on in the day so you can get to the smaller, a little less important things as the day progresses. So, like I said, there's a lot of different variables to timing and a lot goes into it. For a person who's really busy, you have to almost plan out your day almost on a daily basis. Like for me, I like to look at my calendar first thing when I wake up and last thing before I go to bed, just so I could see what I got going on the next day. And even though I work out every day, sometimes I honestly forget, and I just alternate between upper and lower body every day. So if I work out yesterday, I worked out lower body, today would be upper body, but sometimes I honestly forget where I'm at in those days. I never forget what day of the week it is. For me, fortunately enough, my days are planned around, I know exactly what day it is at all times. I was talking to my stepfather the other day, and he's like, one of the things about being retired is you can't keep track of the days of the week. Especially if you don't have a lot of commitments going on during your week. The days will be jumbled up, and Sunday could be the same as Wednesday. And for me, that would be crazy, but I understand his, his methodology and what he's trying to say. Is that sometimes there's lack of commitments and the lack of things going on will essentially confuse your days. But for me, the weeks sometimes are so repetitive that I have to be at this place at this time, or at school or at campus by this time. I know I have to leave by this time. I know I even have to be in the shower by this time. So there's a lot that goes into it when I'm considering timing, and a lot of the fluctuation that I have when it comes to doing things, because once I get up, the day gets going for me, but a lot of the fluctuation I have is only in my sleep, and that gets thrown off here and there depending on what I got going on, deadlines I have to meet, and things that I have, other things that I have committed to. So, but timing is a very important thing to concentrate on. And like I mentioned before, we're all given the same amount of hours in a day, the same amount of minutes, however you want to look at it. We all have the same amount of time that we're allotted every day. And it's what you do with those 24 hours in each day that either makes you like the rest or separates you from the pack. So timing plays a crucial role in that by setting up your days to where you are maximized to your fullest potential. I don't mean overworking yourself or underworking yourself, but finding that happy balance in order to make sure that you're using yourself to your fullest benefit, and then, committing to other people in order to get things done. And let me see. I was talking to my mom about this the other day, that about my schedule and things, and kind of timing essentially. But we were talking about a person who needed to work a certain amount of time per week, and I gave them my example where I work full time and then I go to school pretty much full time. So to me, I look at it like either two jobs or going to school twice as much, and then still being able to be a part of the family. That's the family dynamic. Still have to make time for that family dynamic, but sometimes in this, in order to get ahead, sometimes you really do have to struggle through the hard points. And I believe that, if you look at the way your day is broke up and your commitment per hours per day to, let's say, work or to, let's say, school, you have it 7 days a week. And if you're busy 5 of those days with an 8-hour job, let me just break this down timing for you, and I'll do it simple on a daily basis. So you have 24 hours in a day. Let's say you spend 8 hours sleeping. That leaves you 16 hours, right? To do whatever it is you got to do. What can you do within those 16 hours to maximize your potential? Can you go to school a little bit that day and work and still make it for family time? So you got to find that happy balance to do that. Sometimes you'll work less, let's say 5 hours, but I would say at least maximize your potential each day, so you're busy for at least 8 of those hours, and that would be a good start. And that would be every single day. So even if you work 5 days a week, full-time jobs, 8 hours a day, like a standard schedule, which um, it seems like more and more people are getting away from the standard schedule. But if you do work that 8 hours a week, you still have another 8 to sleep and another 8 to do other things. What are you doing with those other 8 hours in order to maximize your potential? Could you be working another job if you're not going to school? Could you be going to school if you're not working another job? And if you're working 2 jobs, is it only eating up 8 hours of your day still? And I'm talking about 7 days a week, not 6, not 5, 7, the full 7 days. So what are you doing during those 2 days off that you have going on? If you still have time during those 2 days, some people like to dedicate a certain day to religion, which is fine. That's bettering yourself on a religious standpoint. And some people like to just have a day off. But if you're trying to get ahead, why would you want a day off? That's just my concept and thoughts on it. And I've always been trying to get ahead. And if it wasn't for being deployed where I was working 7 days a week, we organized our schedule to like maximize a 24-hour period off in between, but you still worked every day. So let me explain to you what I mean, and I found this very crucial. So let's say Saturday while I was deployed, I worked, you worked around the clock, but as far as my job was concerned and what I was doing out there, my assignment for hours was, let's say, 9 to 1 on Saturday. So you come in, you work 9 to 1, and then the second shift comes in, and then you have those few hours you work, and then Sunday we would schedule it. So if you work 9 to 1 on Sunday, you'd come in 1 to 5 or something like that. So you technically had a 24-hour break even though you didn't have the entire day off. So there's certain little things you can do like that in your schedule in order to maximize your time off to where you can still technically get a 24-hour period off, but you're not off every day. And that was a good break in between that allowed us, because we didn't have the time to take a day off, and nobody really does in that type of environment. So when you work 9 to 1 and 1 to 5 the following day, from that time you get off at 1 on Saturday to the time you go back into work on 1 on Sunday, there was 24 hours in there, whether you realize it or not. And sometimes within that 24 hours, and you get that time, it would absolutely make me so happy and give me something to look forward to. And then you realize how valuable time is in those essence, where you did certain things in order to essentially give yourself a day off without giving yourself a day off. So there's a lot of different strategic ways that you can do it to where it doesn't even interfere with your sleep. But taking those 24 hours off gave us a little bit of breathing room to recuperate and reset for the week to come, even though we didn't have a day off. So those are some little tips, and there's many more like those, and obviously you can cater them to your schedule, so you can have a 24-hour period off, but you still are working or maximizing your potential each and every day. So if you need to take some time with your family or for your beliefs or religious, you can schedule that 24-hour day so it's not interrupted, and then continue on working and grinding it out. So that'll be it for timing. I think that was a couple good examples in there on how you guys can structure your day and things you need to do in order to get ahead and the timing that's required. If you're not starting out to maximize 8 hours a day, every single day, on top of the 8 hours you sleep, that still leaves another 8 hours. Now, what you do with those 8 hours, if you're not working or sleeping, you still need to find the time and the balance for family in there, because as you grow and develop, some of us end up having families, and you need to find a dedicated time for them. To where you can spend with them on a daily basis. So, but you need to include that in your timing and your scheduling on a daily basis, so you make sure that you make time for them as well. So that'll be it for today's vlog. I appreciate you guys watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. I am up to 45 subscribers, and I definitely appreciate each one of you. I appreciate the comments you leave behind, and I'm trying to figure out the other vlog I'm going to do technically for today, since I forgot to put one up yesterday, and once I figure it out, I will post it. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.